My name is Mila, and I'm 42 years old. My husband, Drew, has been my classmate since high school. We have twin daughters, Treasure and Sandy, who are 16 years old. It was during a routine checkup that we found out we were having twins. Both of them grew up healthy and happy, and this spring, they started enjoying their first year of high school. Having girls around makes every day lively and full of energy. Dad, I want this outfit for my birthday. Can you buy it for me? I want this cosmetic pouch. All right. Twins mean double the requests. It's tough being a parent, since they're teenage girls. I used to worry about Drew's relationship with them, but they get along so well that all my worries vanished. But an event happened that shattered our family dynamic. Lately, I couldn't help but notice that Drew was coming home late every night. At first, I thought it was overtime work and didn't question it. One day, while at the mall, I ran into one of his coworkers and casually asked about it. She said all the employees leave work on time every day. I wondered if he might be stopping by his mother's house, so I called my mother-in-law, Mila, to check, but she said he hadn't visited even once. Days of growing suspicion went by, until one night when Drew said he had something to talk about. What is it? Is it about you coming home late recently? His expression was unusually serious, making me nervous. Looking straight at me, he dropped a bombshell. I'm having an affair. What? An affair? What are you talking about all of a sudden? My heart started pounding violently. Cold sweat ran down my body, and my mind went completely blank. There's a coworker of mine, Nanny, who's a year older than me. What? Nanny? She was the coworker I happened to meet at the grocery store not long ago. When I asked her why Drew was coming home late, she casually replied, "All the employees leave on time every day." At the time, I thought she was just answering normally, but now it felt like she was asserting her superiority. As I pieced together Drew's confession and my conversation with her, everything started to make sense. I'm divorcing you and marrying her. After 15 years of marriage, my husband confessed to having an affair with his attractive coworker, but that wasn't the only shocking revelation. And I have a son in 6th grade. He would be Treasure and Sandy's half-brother. What? A child? A half-brother? I felt like I was about to faint right then and there. Wait a minute. Are you saying you've had a secret child? Yes. A 6th grader means he's 12, right? How long have you been having this affair? About 12 years. 12 years. I couldn't believe it. He had been betraying me for 12 years. Our daughters are now 16, which means he started this affair when they were just 4 years old. I never noticed a thing. That's how good he was at pretending everything was fine, even as he remained close to our daughters and kept our family life seemingly perfect. You're saying you want a divorce, but what about Treasure and Sandy? What's going to happen to them? They'll be adults in 2 years, right? So I'll leave them in your care, Mila. Leave them with me. Raising kids is something we're supposed to do together. Next year, my son Andrew will be taking his middle school entrance exams. I'm fully focused on that, and it's going to cost a lot of money to support him. But don't worry, I'll pay child support. I'll also provide compensation for the divorce settlement with you, Mila. And if Treasure and Sandy want to see me, I'll be there. We'll live in separate homes, but my relationship with the girls won't change. That's not the point here, Drew. Whatever you say, I'm leaving. It's no use trying to stop me. Here, this is the divorce petition. What? Did you prepare this all on your own? I've filled out my part. Finish it up and file it, Mila. Wait, hold on. Oh, and I'll tell my mom about this. From now on, don't contact my family anymore. What? Why? Wait, Drew, please. It was the middle of the night, and my shouting woke up the girls. What's going on? Why are you yelling this late? Mom, are you crying? Your dad. He's gone. What? What do you mean? Your dad. He's been having an affair. An affair? Dad, I didn't think he had the guts for something like that. And also, he told me you have a half-brother in 6th grade. It felt wrong to share this with my daughters, but the pain of Drew's betrayal was too overwhelming. I couldn't hold back. I told them everything. Is Dad never coming back? Probably not. I assume everything he needs is already set up at his mistress's house. That prepared. Really, it's not that simple. Apparently, he's been having this affair for 12 years. He's been living 2 lives all this time. I see. Did Dad at least apologize to you? Well, not really. He just told me, left the divorce papers, and walked out. That's unacceptable. Apologizing should have been the first thing he did. Did he talk about compensation for the divorce caused by the affair? He said he'd pay child support and compensation for the divorce settlement. He also said he'd meet with you if you wanted. He said he'd pay. Did he mention any specific amounts? No, it was just a verbal promise. Verbal promises are worthless. You need to get it in writing. Oh, I didn't even think of that. I don't know what to do. We've been completely played, haven't we? Yeah, totally. Treasure and Sandy exchanged glances, deep in thought. To be honest, our daughters are twins, with IQs ranking in the top 1 or 2 nationally. After learning about Drew's affair and his betrayal of me, they made up their minds. Let's ruin his life. And so began the astonishing revenge plot by our genius twins. By the following week, Drew had turned into a completely unrecognizable mess. Mom, we're going to get back at Dad. Wait, what? What are you planning to do? The next day, the girls approached me with determination in their eyes. Are you really okay with letting him get away with this? Of course not. But what can I even do? Don't worry, Mom. Just leave it to us and do what we tell you. Wait. No, I can't let you get involved. I don't want to burden you too. It's not a burden. It's not like we're going to harm him. We just want to teach him a lesson. Because it's not just you he betrayed, it's us too. That's awful, isn't it? Reluctantly, I let them take the lead. And the very next day, things started to unfold. On Monday evening, while I was preparing dinner as usual, the front door suddenly flew open. Drew stormed in, breathing heavily and looking completely exhausted. What on earth? Why are you barging in like this, making so much noise? What do you mean, what on earth? I told you not to contact my family, but you ignored me and told my mom about the divorce. Why would you do that? Wait, what? I didn't contact your family or talk to her at all. That can't be true. Proof of it is that she stormed into my workplace, chased me down, and nearly found out where I live now. I had no idea what Drew was talking about. As Drew continued to accuse me despite my insistence that I didn't know anything, we suddenly heard voices from the doorway. What's going on? Why are you shouting so loudly? Yay, seriously, we could hear you all the way outside. Just then, the girls arrived home from school. Dad says Mom contacted Grandma Mila, but Mom says she didn't. Now he's mad at her for no reason. Well, who else could have contacted her if not you? Oh, about that we called her. What? You two contacted her? Dad disappeared all of a sudden, so we thought it was important to let her know. Wait, you're saying it was you two who called Mila? Thank you for doing that. Thank you. That's not the point. You know how much I despise my mom. How could you do this? We know, but since you're divorcing Mom, she's no longer your wife, and Mila is still our grandmother. How can you expect us not to contact her at all? Mom's right. Dad, divorce isn't just about you two. We have a relationship with our grandma too, and we don't want to lose that. Exactly. Besides, telling us not to contact her is just selfish. You're being completely unreasonable. I've told you before after my dad passed away, it was just my mom and me, and it was really tough. She's incredibly strict and hates dishonesty. If I ever messed up, she'd make me pay for it. One time in high school, I skipped class, and when she found out, she chased me down on her bike and tied me to a telephone pole for everyone to see. That kind of thing traumatized me. That's why I'm begging you don't contact her anymore. But isn't that your own fault for skipping school? Yay, she sounds like someone who values honesty and discipline. Totally, that actually fits her character. Please, just listen to me. I'm begging you. He seems to genuinely dislike his mother. It's not just dislike, he's absolutely terrified of her. For a man in his 40s to be this scared of his mother is almost childish. By the way, Dad, even if you're divorcing Mom, isn't it terrible to leave without saying a word to us? Are you avoiding us because you're ashamed of your affair? You're right. I should have said something. I'm sorry. 12 years of cheating. That's unbelievable. And we have a half-brother. Leaving like this makes it seem like you care about him more than us. That's not true. You two are incredibly important to me. If we're so important, why did you cheat? If we matter, you should have talked things through with Mom and then told us face to face. I truly regret everything. I should have explained everything to you earlier. For now, I'll leave. You still haven't discussed child support or divorce compensation, have you? You need to set up a time to talk to Mom about it soon. All right, I'll handle it. I promise. See you. Once again, I was reminded of how powerful words can be when wielded by teenage girls. Treasure and Sandy cornered Drew so effectively that he couldn't wait to leave the house, fleeing as if to escape their relentless questioning. By the way, about Mila, did you two really contact her? Curious about the details, I asked the girls. Yeah, we did. Actually, we went to Grandma's house. And let me tell you, her reaction was something. The girls explained how they told her about Drew's affair, which triggered her fury. That idiot. Betraying his wonderful wife and precious granddaughters. Who is he cheating with? Someone from his workplace, apparently. A coworker. Yep. And she even had a casual conversation with Mom at the grocery store. Drew is one thing, but that woman. Absolutely unforgivable. And not only that, he left without finalizing child support or divorce compensation. It's all verbal, and he hasn't even set any amounts. What? Unbelievable. So he cheats, then expects to just leave everything hanging. And he doesn't even face Treasure and Sandy before disappearing. Oh, and we have a half-brother now, too. What? That's it, I'm going to his workplace right now. The girls said that as soon as Mila heard the story, she flew into a rage, stormed out of her house, and headed straight for Drew's workplace. While she was confronting Drew, the girls came back home. They must have just missed each other. As Drew arrived at the house before them, thinking back, I noticed Drew's shirt collar was stretched and rumpled. His hair was messy, looking nothing like his usual office style. It wasn't hard to imagine that Mila had nearly beaten him to a pulp before he managed to flee the office. So that's why you asked what Dad's biggest fear was back then. Bingo, you got it. After hearing stories from you about Dad and Mila when he was a kid, we figured it out. When Dad told us not to contact her before leaving, Sandy and I knew we were right. That's why we went to see her. Mila's always been so calm in front of us, so we thought we'd test it by mentioning Dad. She completely changed right before our eyes. As soon as we finished talking, she headed straight for Dad. That's when we knew Mila was the one thing Dad was truly scared of. So that's how it all came together. I remembered the story Drew once told me about skipping school as a teenager. When Mila found out, she chased him down on her bike, tied him to a telephone pole, and made an example of him in front of the neighborhood. What he left out, however, was the part where he had hidden in the attic to avoid being caught. It reminded me of how he had tried to escape the consequences of his affair by running away. But when he accidentally made a noise, Mila discovered him. She used a broom to prod him out of hiding, and once their eyes met, Drew bolted. However, Mila caught him with her bike, dragged him back, and tied him up. It seems Mila prefers her bicycle over a car, and I've heard her speed rivals that of a professional cyclist. Well, our first step of revenge was a success. Time to move on to the next plan. Actually, I found an excellent attorney. Wait, an attorney? Isn't that going to cost a lot of money? Don't worry about that. With that, the girls handed me a piece of paper detailing the attorney's fees, considering the child support and the compensation we'll get from Dad and his mistress in the divorce settlement. This attorney's fees are nothing to worry about. We've already spoken to the attorney and hired a private investigator they recommended to gather evidence of Dad's affair. A private investigator? How are we going to afford that? That'll be included in the divorce compensation too, so there's no problem. And guess what? Thanks to the investigator, we found out where Dad and his mistress are living. Wait, seriously? Yep. So this Saturday, the three of us are going there. Looks like we'll finally meet the mistress and our half-brother. Are you sure this bold move is okay? What if they find out and try to sue us instead? Gathering evidence is key to suing someone for an affair. To prove infidelity and the existence of a hidden child, we need solid evidence. The investigator has already collected quite a bit, but the more evidence we have, the better. We need to take action too. Don't worry, Mom. Just come along and follow our lead. We won't do anything that could get us in trouble. And if anyone's suing, it'll be us. All right, I trust you. Saturday morning arrived. The investigator had informed us that Drew would be out. I was shocked to learn that the investigator had even planted a listening device. Drew and his mistress lived surprisingly close by, which made me angry that I hadn't noticed sooner. The thought of them carrying out their affair so close to home made my anger burn even hotter. We hid in the parking lot of a high-rise apartment building, watching as the three of them walked out together. We followed them carefully, staying hidden behind cars, all the way to Drew's vehicle. So that's the woman who betrayed us. Oh, her? That's definitely Nanny. I spoke with her at the mall. She's the coworker Dad mentioned, right? Yay. When I asked her at the mall if Dad had been working late, she said he hadn't. She was totally flexing on you. Now that I think about it, her smile was a little creepy. She was probably trying to say, "Your Drew is at my house. How awful. And that must be our half-brother." For a sixth grader, he sure acts full of himself. As the three of them got into their car, they rolled the windows down and started talking. "So when are you finally going to get divorced?" "I'm working on it. I need to handle things with my daughters first. And Drew's going to take his middle school entrance exams soon. You need to take care of the paperwork before that. I'll make sure it's done by then. Dad, I'm your top priority." "Right, of course, Andrew. You're the most important to me." "Then cut ties with those two daughters. Don't say you care about them just as much as you care about me." "I won't. You're my favorite, Andrew. Don't worry. See, Andrew, soon enough, those nuisances will be out of the way. Just hang in there a little longer." "I'm sorry." "Okay, fine. Just make sure nothing gets in the way of my exams." All right, Nothing will interfere, I promise. Sandy successfully recorded their entire conversation. While Drew and his mistress's audacity shocked me, I was even more appalled by the half-brother's attitude. He didn't seem like a typical 12-year-old at all. No matter how stressed he was about his exams, his arrogance was astounding. Well, I'm glad we came today. We managed to record their conversation, so now we have more evidence. Still, that kid is unbelievably entitled. I'm so stunned by his attitude, I can't even find the words. While we were still reeling from the half-brother's behavior, Drew and his mistress continued talking. We're not actually going to pay child support for the daughters, right? Of course not. Andrew is my priority. When the divorce is finalized, you'll cut ties with those daughters, won't you? Yes, I will. Stop repeating yourself. Well, I don't trust you. You're too good at lying. Hey, Andrew, what are you saying? Treasure and Sandy are your sisters, after all. Being on good terms with them might benefit you someday. Nothing good can come from associating with the children of his ex-wife. Don't lump me in with my low-class sisters. I'm always at the top of my class, acing every test and solving the hardest problems. There's no way I could get along with loud, annoying high schoolers. Wow, well, you're not wrong. My daughters are incredibly noisy. Honestly, they're ridiculously noisy. I'd come home exhausted, and there they'd be, screeching and chatting nonstop. To be honest, I often thought their heads were full of nothing but flowers. And to make it worse, my wife would join in, and the three of them would keep going. There was never any peace or rest in that house. Oh my, that sounds terrible. In comparison, Andrew is mature and focused on his studies. He doesn't chatter on like those three. Being away from them these past few days has been so refreshing. So you don't even think they're cute anymore? Of course not. They're just ugly brats. You're awful. What a terrible man. Treasure managed to record this conversation, but their expressions turned dark immediately. Hearing their father talk like that about them was understandably heartbreaking. Because they had always been close, the betrayal hurt even more. Seeing the sadness on my daughters' faces, I acted without thinking. Before I even realized it, I was standing in front of their car. The car looked like it was about to move. And Drew stared at me in shock. Hey, you jerk. Enough is enough. Mila, why are you here? Get out of the car. Both of you. To the mistress and the illegitimate child. Mom, is that really your voice? I didn't know you could shout like that. I didn't fully understand it myself, but hearing my daughters insulted had unleashed everything I had been holding back. Treasure and Sandy were stunned but cheered me on. Wait, what's going on? How did you and the girls find us? What's happening? I thought this location was supposed to be private. This is a breach of privacy. The girls hired a private investigator to find your hideout. What? You two again? Stop meddling, you kids. What does age have to do with it? We're family, so we want to help Mom. And you need to take responsibility, Dad. Responsibility. The divorce papers have already been filed, so you and I are no longer married. Oh, well, that's good. But you will pay compensation for your affair and child support for our daughters. This is the invoice for the divorce settlement compensation. And this one is for the child support. The official documents will be sent to you by our lawyer shortly. What invoices? How can you send me these without even discussing it first? Because you kept avoiding sitting down with Mom to discuss it. So we hired a top-notch lawyer to handle the child support and compensation claims. Wait, $30K. That's outrageous. Child support is calculated until we turn 18. For the next 2 years, you'll deposit $300 per child each month, $600 total. Isn't child support usually based on income? Apparently, $300 per child is the average amount. Wait, are you saying your income is actually low, Dad? See, I told you he might lie. Oh, and by the way, we've also filed a claim for compensation against you, the mistress. This is your invoice. The official version will be mailed by the lawyer, just like Dad's. Why should I have to pay $30K? That's ridiculous. Both Drew and his mistress looked utterly defeated by the sudden appearance of me and my daughters, as well as the hefty $30K compensation claims and the monthly child support payments. Meanwhile, the arrogant half-brother remained calm, observing the situation quietly. First, Dad's confession revealed his affair, but it's been going on for 12 years. Mom spent all those years unaware that Dad was deceiving her. On top of that, Dad had a secret child, and Mom didn't find out until now. That's 12 years of betrayal during their marriage. And since we're still minors, child support is mandatory. We're 16 now, so Dad is legally obligated to pay child support for both of us until we turn 18. I can't pay that much money. It's impossible. I don't have that kind of money either. Wait, didn't you recently say you got a high-paying job at a trading company? Who said anything about a trading company? Who said I'm an elite with a high salary? I've been working sales at a canned goods factory. Another lie. Well, there are reasons. Let me explain. Don't give me that. So you've been lying all along. Actually, Drew still works at that canned goods factory. What? But he said he left the factory to get a better job for Andrew's middle school tuition. Drew and his mistress had originally been coworkers at the company where their affair began. At some point, Drew disappeared from his sales position at the company. As the two bickered, I stepped in to explain the reason. I barged into your company after finding out about your affair. Mom. Wait, what? Why are you here? How? We called Mile earlier, said the girls. We figured she should have the final word on this, they added. The sight of Mila, Drew's most hated person, made his face go pale. She arrived at an astonishing speed, riding her beloved bicycle as though she were in a race. Drew trembled, while the mistress looked utterly confused. Mila, I'm so sorry. It's all right. I'm here to protect Mila and my precious granddaughters. Thank you so much. Did you forget that my granddaughters are twins with IQs ranked first and second in the nation? Twins with IQs ranked first and second in the nation. No one told me that. Oh, great. They're really my half-sisters, huh? Now you understand how they managed to be so thorough. It's unfortunate you weren't around, Nanny, but I went to your company and exposed your entire affair. Thanks to that, Drew was demoted to basement janitorial work and fired from his sales position. When you weren't around, he lied and said he'd changed jobs, but in reality, he was just showing up at the basement. That's why everyone at work was acting distant. They told me I could keep my job if I agreed to move to the basement, as long as Nanny wasn't fired. It was my granddaughters, with their brilliant IQs, who sent me to the company, hired the lawyer and investigator, and filed the claims for child support and divorce compensation. Even at this point, Drew tried to argue. But wait, even if you exposed the affair and filed for compensation, wouldn't the claims be dismissed without solid evidence? Yea, exactly. Without proof. There's no need to pay any compensation, right? Didn't you hear that we hired a lawyer and a private investigator? The investigator provided us with a mountain of evidence proving your affair. The girls pulled out a stack of photos and tossed them on the table. There were pictures of Drew and Nanny holding hands, kissing, and even having picnics together with the boy. We also have audio recordings. Would you like to hear them? They waved a voice recorder in front of Drew and Nanny. Oh, but if you listen to this, it might set Mila off, they teased. No, please don't play it. Anything but that. Then quietly agree to pay the child support and compensation. Fine, I'll pay. All right, we'll pay. Happy now? Dad, apologize to Mom properly. You too, Nanny. Apologize now, or we'll spread these photos all over the neighborhood. All the neighborhood women are on my side, you know. I'm so sorry. Truly, I am. Nanny, apologize right now. Just do it. I'm sorry. Well, Dad and Nanny have been utterly defeated. Our big sisters are amazing, said Andrew, still in shock. Confused by the situation, Nanny asked, but why is Mila so scary? Treasure smirked and hit play on the voice recorder. Being away from those three these past few days has been so refreshing. So you don't even think they're cute anymore? Of course not. They're just ugly brats. Drew glanced nervously at Mila, but it was already too late. Drew, Mila shouted. Help me. Drew screamed as he ran at full speed. Mila hopped on her bike and chased after him with incredible speed. No way. Nanny and Andrew stood frozen, their faces pale. Watching them, my daughters and I couldn't help but burst into laughter. Later, Mila stepped in and paid the divorce compensation on Drew's behalf. Being a wealthy landowner in the area, she had the means to cover the cost. However, this made Drew completely dependent on Mila, unable to escape her grasp. He now has to pay child support to us while repaying Mila in installments over several decades. If you miss a payment, I'll tie you to a telephone pole and make you a public spectacle, Mila declared with the energy of someone half her age. Yes, I'll pay, I promise. Drew was utterly terrified of Mila, like a child afraid of a strict parent. While my daughters have proven to be incredibly reliable, I am deeply grateful for Mila's presence and the support she has given me, which brought me immense relief. We presented solid evidence of the affair and demanded compensation from Nanny. That's when it came to light that Drew had purchased an apartment for her. Since the apartment was under Drew's name, it became part of the marital assets subject to division, forcing Nanny and Drew to vacate the property. Andrew, who had been preparing for his middle school entrance exams, was unable to take them. The three of them moved into a run-down rental apartment. Now both parents are consumed by debt repayment, leaving Andrew to spend most of his nights alone. I hope they manage to pay off their debts quickly and spend more time with their child. But with the hefty divorce compensation and 2 more years of child support payments, who knows when that will happen or how old their child will be by then. All I can do is pray that he doesn't grow up resentful or troubled by this situation. This ordeal inspired my daughters to pursue careers as lawyers. They are determined to fight against injustice and have thrown themselves into their studies with renewed passion. As for me, I found peace in my hobby of embroidery. Recently, I began selling my creations and am even considering launching an online store in the future. For now, I hope to enjoy calm, peaceful days, indulging in my hobbies, and embracing a more tranquil life.